The garage is full of brake cleaner fumes. Worked on the radiator this weekend. So I had the radiator shop fix this one seam here because it actually blew apart. Let me film it. This seam here. The tank actually blew apart from that and shot all my coolant out, and that's what I guess technically brought the 7.3 to its knees. So paid $75. I kind of figured that, you know, when you take it to a radiator shop and they fix it, when they get done, they would take and, you know, check it for leaks, but apparently not. So after a couple of coolant flushes, the rear tank started to leak right here. So that's when I pulled it out. I was like, no sense going any further. So I fixed that tank, and then I filled it full of, actually I had it full of vinegar. I keep moving my arm funny. So I built this pressure tester. It's really high tech. So that just kind of went on there. And then I had one of these guys for the other one. I had it full of vinegar. I let it sit overnight. I was trying to dissolve some of the calcium and mineral deposits that are riddled inside this thing. And I pressurized it while the vinegar was in there. And it had like 5 leaks in it. There's one there. I decided just to resolder all the tanks. So I did both front and back top. I did this one here. I pulled these out and put them back in. I pulled this guy out. I actually spun it around because I need this little antler here facing that direction instead of that direction. So now my hose doesn't have to do a 180, so that's cool. Look at that, it all worked out. Yeah, it's easy, just clean it up. You burn off the paint, burn it, scrape it, get it nice and clean, get some of the old solder out of there. You could actually see there was like a nice long crack in the solder joint right through there where it was leaking. And then you put a little bit of flux in there and flow a little bit of new solder in there, and good as gold. Alright guys, so the radiator's all painted up. I just want to do one last quick pressure test before we get it put in and find out it leaks or something like that. So, tester that I made here, it's just a rubber no hubcap. I prefer spinners, but hubcaps will do. And then I got this like reducer, and I found like a PVC fitting that went into there, and you hook it to the air hose and you put a little pressure on there. You don't want too much, otherwise bad things will happen, but make sure radiator cap's on there and all. Alright, let me just pressure going. I'm gonna be quite honest with you, that was pretty impressive. Because this sucker just took 120 PSI, and the thing that failed on it was the fitting. And I had to like pack the radiator cap full of duct tape to get that to seal, because before that, I was running a line straight to the compressor, 120 PSI, and the cap was venting it enough that it like wasn't even doing anything. It did, you can see in the video, it bowed that up, and you can see where the tank is bowed up here, but that's pretty darn impressive. So in case you couldn't figure it out already, I did not just accidentally blow up the radiator. So what happened was, got the radiator in, got it repaired, got it in, I pulled a vacuum on the system to check for leaks. We went to dinner, came back, pressure didn't change, filled it with coolant, did a flush, or not coolant, filled it with water, did a flush, filled it again, did another flush, water started to come out clearer. The only leak that I saw during this was from the cap because of the way that I had the system set up. The cap was leaking. So I didn't think that there were any leaks. So I filled it full of coolant. I walked away from it for the night, came out the next morning, and there was coolant running down the driveway. None of my repairs failed. Kind of embarrassed to admit this, but somehow putting it in, we put a gash in the front of it, and that is where the coolant was leaking. I still have no idea why it held a vacuum and it didn't leak water, but as soon as we put coolant in it, it was just like running out. And it was weird because the coolant didn't start running out until the next morning, because I filled it up with coolant at like 5 o'clock at night and stayed out here and worked on stuff. Technically I could fix it again, but time to get rid of that. So, a couple of things since we last saw each other. I've missed you guys. Anyways, we got our new power steering cooler in, and this during this test worked a lot better. Of course, it does also help that we now have fans, which this is the first restart up since I did the radiator since last time I ran it. And as soon as the engine kicked on, the fans came on. So I'm gonna have to figure out why that is. But being that we're in this plastic hut with not a whole lot of air movement, we're still able to get it up to temperature and burn off the new paint on the radiator. My cap was leaking. As far as I could tell, the cap leaking was the only leak that we had. I'm still having issues with hard starts, and I don't know. Well, I know the reason why I'm having hard start issues is because somewhere I must have a leak. So the fuel's going back to the tank. So like the lines and everything will still have fuel in it. So you'll hit the key and it'll fire right up, run for a few seconds, and then die. Which is what happens because it burns off the fuel in the lines and then gets air and stops. And it's always a pain. I don't know why, to get it restarted after that. I mean, I sat here and pumped on this thing every couple minutes to kind of push the air through the system, and I cracked the line here going into the head, and I didn't even get any air. It was just all fuel. So I don't even know where the air was, but even after that, it still like just took forever to get started. I got a check valve to put right there, so that if the leak had to be, so when you pump this pump, it pressurizes basically the entire filter and everything else in the system. And there's no leaks, so wherever it's getting air from, it had to be from this pump forward. And I don't know, this thing's really cheap, so I got a check valve. I put that right there, so that will, if the leak was from there to there, then that would have fixed it. But this is my first time running it since putting the check valve in, so maybe it just still had some air in the system that we needed to get out. We'll find out here. If not, I mean, this line goes straight to the tank, and that's the only other connection in the system is there. We'll just keep putting check valves in until it fixes itself, right? I guess it could be possible that the fuel level in the tank is low enough that wherever the shower head is, if that thing's not making a good seal over the tube, it's getting air back in that way. But I guess putting a check valve at the tank would kind of fix that issue. Well, not completely fix it, but that would help out a lot. So yeah, it runs. The new power steering cooler worked much better than having it run through the radiator. Like I said, though, we do have fans now, so maybe that would have fixed everything. But I feel much better about this. It looks a lot nicer and neater. So that's in. Still a few things to button up on the cooling system. Like I got to finish running that line there, and don't know why I'm just standing here talking. I could be working. I just don't know where to put you people. I mean that in the nicest way too.
Having this cross member here makes it so much easier to get to the drain valve. Am I even going the right way? No. Oh boy. Oh, there it goes.
Try to catch as much of it. Yeah, I'm doing a real great job of that. But it's like 15 degrees out today, which is awesome. So the stuff that's running down my driveway is just gonna be a sheet of ice. That'll be cool for my pregnant wife. Started building a bumper. I got kind of bored with all the little putsy stuff that I was doing and just wanted to do something big. It's not done yet. I think you could probably figure that out, that it wasn't done yet. But it's gonna be pretty beefy. The at the bottom here, this is a piece of 3x3 square tubing, 1/4 inch thick. So thank goodness every other vehicle on the road has a crumple zone, right? I'm going, you're probably looking at it going, your intercooler's back there. I know. Yell at me about it in the comments. We're gonna put something up here, holes, I don't know. Trying to figure out what would look not goofy, I guess. I was thinking about just a bunch of like round holes and then seeing if I could get a dimple die, but I don't know about that. It's a little bit too much drift car for me. Thought about like ovals, kind of cut at an angle, you know. That looks more like old farm caution, whatever. I don't know. It's whatever. But this will also give me a little space to be able to get up and work on stuff, because that's kind of, the truck's so tall now I can't really get in here to work on nothing. So I wanted to make it as big as possible without looking goofy, and I don't know if I did it or not. But we'll see. So yeah, we're gonna let this sucker drain. We're gonna look at the water that comes out of it. Probably do one more flush and then fill her up with coolant. I think I'm gonna have to get a new radiator cap because that one ain't up to the task. Yep, exciting times here. Exciting times. All right, bye.